if you think about the deepest relationships that you have, the ones that last, they aren't built on grand gestures. They're built on consistent, authentic, mutual investment over time. They're built on showing up again and again and again at every one of those layers until the other person trusts you with the real stuff. That's what layer 4 looks like in a relationship. And spoiler alert, it's also what it looks like on social media. Hello, and welcome back to the Social Media CX podcast. I'm Brooke Sellis, CEO of B Squared Media, authors of Conversations That Connect. And today, I want to get a little emotional with you. Fair warning, because I told you last week you're going to have to bring the tissues, and I wasn't entirely joking. This is week 4 of our May series on the social penetration theory, what we are calling the onion theory, or the SPT for short. And if you've been with me all month so far, thank you. Genuinely, I feel very blessed to have you with me on this whole journey. If you haven't, I encourage you to go back and listen to the other 3 episodes because they build into this one. This series has been one of the most personal things I've done on this podcast, and this episode might just be the most personal of all. Because today we're talking about layer 4 in the SPT, or the onion theory, which is feelings. Nothing but feelings. Anyways. And by the way, if you haven't been listening, it's also B Squared Media's 14th birthday month. 14 years. I still can't quite believe it. And yeah, I'm a little emotional about it because it's a big deal. So today is part communication theory, part agency origin story, part love letter to the work of social media, and of course, all the feelings. Let's go. In the social penetration theory, layer 4 is what Altman and Taylor called stable exchange. It's the deepest layer, the innermost part of that onion, and the place where real lasting relationships live. This isn't the layer where you share facts or opinions. It's the layer where you share yourself, your real self, your fears, your wins, your failures, your convictions, your story. Marketers love to talk about storytelling, but so few of them talk about the vulnerability that's needed to get to a place of feelings and storytelling. The key word that Altman and Taylor used, the one that has stayed with me since I first read this in college, is stable. Stable. Not volatile, not performative, not manufactured for engagement, which is what a lot of that content out there is doing, if we're being honest, right? Stable. Because if you think about the deepest relationships that you have, the ones that last, they aren't built on grand gestures. They're built on consistent, authentic, mutual investment over time. They're built on showing up again and again and again at every one of those layers until the other person trusts you with the real stuff. That's what layer 4 looks like in a relationship. And spoiler alert, it's also what it looks like on social media. So I want to take you back to 2009 for a second. I was working in the nonprofit sector. I loved the mission. I believed in the work. And then the recession hit and I got laid off. And I remember being crushed, really, really devastated. I left a lucrative real estate job to work in nonprofit at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation because my sister has cystic fibrosis. So it meant a lot to me to give back to that particular mission. When I got laid off, I was trying to figure out what it all meant. I thought that was my calling. I really, really believed that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. What was I going to do next? Who was I without this career that I had kind of started to build my identity around? Which, by the way, if you've ever been laid off, you know what I'm talking about. It's disorienting in a way that's really hard to describe. But to say I was in the depths of despair would not be an overstatement. But during that stillness, something became really clear to me. And I kept coming back to this communication and communication theory, to connecting, really connecting with people, and to the question of how relationships actually form, deepen, and last. And I kept thinking about the pub crawl that I had created back at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation to grab young people's attention for CF, and how we use Facebook before it was even ever, a page, a business page, to recruit almost 8,000 people to this event and to make $60,000 in less than 3 months. Like, there was a real there. Social media was obviously exploding at the time, and most brands were using it like a megaphone. They were broadcasting, they were announcing, they were posting into the void and wondering why nobody was responding. And let's be honest, that happens a lot today too, sadly, all these years later. But I kept thinking to myself, that's not how relationships work. Like, this isn't how trust is built. Everybody says they want trust and revenue and loyalty, but you're all posting cliche content, which is layer one, and you're not doing anything to move the relationship forward. What would happen if your brand actually went deeper? So in 2012, 3 years after that layoff, I founded B Squared Media with the core belief that has not changed in 14 years, which is our tagline: think conversation, not campaign. Because the SPT applied to social media is that: think conversation, not campaign, not cliche, not facts, opinions, and feelings. That's layer 4 as a business model, or feelings as a business model. It's the belief that the deepest, most lasting brand relationships aren't built through broadcasting. They're built through genuine, progressive human connection. One conversation at a time, which I still really believe in. Yes, even with AI, probably more so with AI because of AEO and GEO and how AI answers happen. But that's a whole other conversation for another day. So, getting back to the feelings layer, what does it look like in practice? After 14 years of doing this, what have we learned? And I can tell you we've learned quite a bit, but I'm going to focus on just a few things. Number 1, feelings-based content is the rarest and most powerful thing on social media back then and today, right now. In a world full of AI-generated content, AI slop, the sea of sameness, as we're calling it, the algorithm-chasing posts, the manufactured engagement, authenticity stands out like nothing else. Because when a brand is genuinely vulnerable, whether it's a brand or your personal brand, when that brand shares a real failure and what they learned from it, or when they show the human behind the logo, or when they say something that makes you stop scrolling because you've never heard a brand say that before or make you feel something before, that's the feelings layer. And it's almost impossible to scroll past that, right? I mean, it is for me. The feelings layer in social care also, I want to point out, looks like this. It's a care agent or social media frontline manager, CMGR, community manager, who doesn't just solve your problem, but acknowledges how frustrating it's been. Wow, Brooke, that's really frustrating. Let's work on this together. I want to get this fixed for you, right? It's way different than I can help with step-by-step instructions, right? It's the brand that says, we got this wrong, and here's exactly what we're doing to fix it. Fessing up when you mess up. Accountability is a big part of vulnerability. And a lot of brands, if we're being honest, just aren't accountable. It's also the responses that customers screenshot and share. Not because something was cute or something was bad, which we see a lot of, but because somebody was genuinely helpful, and human in a moment when they were not expecting humanity. It also might look like a DM where a customer sends something back after you resolve their issue and says, I just wanted to say thanks. You're the only brand that actually responded to me. We get these way more often than you'd think. And every single one of them still makes me feel something because it's a big deal. We're so robotic. We're so lacking in accountability and vulnerability and empathy that this is such a huge differentiator for you just by being empathetic, vulnerable, helpful. Also, I'd like to add, since we're celebrating B Squared's 14th birthday, is that the feelings layer in client relationships looks like zero churn. Because for 8 years and running, since we have started delivering social media customer care services to the masses, we've had zero client churn for that service. This isn't a marketing claim. It's me telling you, this is the feelings layer exactly as the social penetration theory said it would work, working. When you consistently show up at that layer with feelings, vulnerability, accountability, all those things, when you do the work, when you tell the truth, when you go deep, when you go deep, when you stay stable, when you are reliable consistently, you are stable, people don't leave. They stay, they refer you more business, they become advocates for your brand. That's what happens when relationships reach layer 4 or feelings. It becomes something worth protecting. Now, let's talk about what this means for your content. Because the feelings layer isn't just good relationship science, it's also good algorithm science as well. We've talked all month about how every major platform is rewarding conversation over broadcasting and how comments are getting more reach than posts. This was my LinkedIn example last episode, if you want to go back. We've also talked about how engagement is up on many of the platforms, even though organic reach is down or collapsing, quite frankly, on many of the channels. The feelings layer is where this phenomenon is most dramatic, by the way, because feelings-based content, authentic, vulnerable, genuinely human, not written wire bot content, generates a specific kind of engagement that no other layer can produce. It generates, I said it in the beginning, stories, right? We talk so much about storytelling as marketers, but storytelling comes with feelings and vulnerability because people don't just comment on your feelings-based content. I mean, they do, but what they're doing when they comment is they're sharing their own experiences. They're tagging someone, oh my gosh, you have to read this, or this reminded me of you, right? They're saving it to come back to. They're sending it in a DM with a message that says something like, this is exactly what I've been trying to say, or oh my gosh, this is us, right? Storytelling. That's not passive consumption. It's active, it's emotional, and the algorithms love it. Here's the beautiful irony in all of this. The feelings layer is the hardest to fake. AI can absolutely generate cliche content for you. It can synthesize facts. It can even approximate opinions. But genuine human feeling, that real vulnerability, that real conviction, the real story and the storytelling, that's still ours. It's ours. We should plant that flag and keep it and revere it and use it. That's the one thing that cannot be automated right now, our unique experience and story, which means in a world that is increasingly flooded with AI-generated content, the brands that show up with genuine feeling are going to stand out more and more, not less, more. All right, so how do you actually do this? How do you access the feelings layer in your content and your care program without feeling forced or performative? Here are a few things that I know work. Tell your origin story, the real one, not the sanitized version, not the we founded our business with a passion for customer service. Please don't do it. The real one. The layoff that led to the leap. Hello, like what I'm telling you here. the client who almost broke you and what you learned, the moment you almost quit, but what made you stay. Origin stories are feelings layer content by nature because they're specific, they're human, and they're impossible to replicate because they actually happened to you. AI is not making this up. Yes, sure, someone can steal it, but it's your story. That would be weird. I also want you to think about sharing your failures, right? We love to talk about our perfect, curated lives on social. Everything looks so beautiful and tied with a bow. No, because when you share about a campaign that flopped or a client relationship that didn't work out or the strategy that you were convinced was going to beat all the strategies ever of all time and then didn't, and you share what you learned, that's powerful feelings because you know what? I'm relating to you because I am not perfect. I fail all the time. Relationships don't work out all the time. Campaigns flop all the time. Now, instead of you being some perfect thing on a pedestal that I could never be equal to, I relate to you. I feel more related to you. Failure content is some of the most powerful feelings layer content that exists because it's rare. It's very rare that we admit our mistakes. It's relatable, and it signals something really important to your audience, which is this brand is honest. If I'm perfect, I'm definitely not being honest. This brand is human, right? Machines may not make mistakes. They do. But humans really make mistakes. I'm a brand that's not pretending when I share my failures. And trust is built on honesty more than anything else. So stop pretending that you're perfect because we all know that you're not, and that's beautiful. I also want you to let your care team feel too. So the feelings layer is not just for your content strategy, it's also for your social care program or social media customer care. When your care agents or your social media CMGRs, community managers, are empowered to respond with genuine empathy, not scripted sympathy, right? There's a difference between empathy and sympathy, but real human acknowledgement, the interactions literally will change before your eyes. Customers can feel it, and the conversation goes deeper. The outcomes are better. And the reviews and the referrals and the screenshots that get shared, those come from feelings layer care interactions every time. Unless we're talking about the one where you did something dumb or posted something as a script 26 times to 26 different people, and people are looking at you in a negative light. We see that too. Don't do that. Now, here's the thing about layer 4 feelings. You cannot just show up to feelings cold, right? You hear the cliche all the time, like, we can't be on our first date and I ask you to marry me. You have to kind of like date the person. You have to earn feelings. You have to earn that trust. And that's what, when we talked about in the last episode on opinions, the pull progressions. When we talked about those pull progressions last week, that's what the opinion layer is all about. You're building that trust gradually, layer by layer, until your audience is ready to go deep with you. So we're sharing cliches, facts, opinions, and feelings, but the majority of what we're sharing are opinions and feelings. We try to stay away from cliches. We use facts as a launch pad for opinions, and then opinions lead to feelings. This is the same thing with your care program. You can't ask for emotional depth with a customer who've only ever experienced your cliche layer responses. You're citing the script. You're just posting a script over and over and over again. You have to do the work at every layer to get to the next layer. All right. Whew, it's a lot. This is what this whole month has been building towards. Cliches to facts, facts to opinions, opinions to feelings. That is literally the Talkworthy content framework. It's the SPT applied to your social media strategy. And that is a free course that we built to help you actually implement this layer by layer, piece by piece, in a way that works for your brand and your audience. So if you've been listening to this episode or listening all month and thinking, okay, I get it, but how do I actually do this? This course is the answer. It's free, it's practical, It's waiting for you at bsquared.media. Go to resources, courses, and then under courses, find talk-worthy content. Go get it, go do the work, and then come back and tell me what layer you're on. I'd love to converse with you about this whole thing. I genuinely want to know, and I genuinely have feelings, obviously, about what we're talking about. Before I let you go, I want to stay in this moment for 1 second because this is the end of our May series, which means it's the end of our birthday month at B Squared Media and the end of all of the celebrations. And I just want to say how proud I am of the team and the clients and our partners and all the people who've carried that Think Conversation, Not Campaign flag with us over the past 14 plus years. I think that it's taken us 14 years to figure out how to move past the cliches and facts and even the opinions all the way down to that trust and feeling layer. But I also think it's been 14 years of believing that even when it's hard, even when the algorithms change, even when you feel like you're on the content hamster wheel, even when the industry is not ready to hear it, social media is really a relationship tool. It is a customer experience channel, way more than it's a content distribution channel. It's a place where real human connections happen. I know because so many of my great friends now I've met on or through social media. I didn't know that when I got laid off in 2009, I was about to build something that would last for 14 years. I didn't know that a communication theory I wrote about in college would become the foundation of an entire agency methodology. But here we are. And I just want to thank all of you, to our clients who trusted us with their most public-facing customer relationships, to our team who shows up every single day with the kind of care and conviction that Layer 4 and Feelings requires, that it's built on, and to you listening to this podcast, engaging with my content, being a part of our community. You are the reason we keep going deeper. So happy birthday, B Squared, and thank you so much. That is my true feeling. Thank you so much for being here. Not today, but all month. This series has meant so much to me, obviously. I'm a little obsessed with the SPT. And listen, if this series or the SPT changed how you think about your content or your care program, I want to hear about it. So find me on LinkedIn, drop me a comment, send me a DM. I want to go deeper with you. Grab that free Talk-Worthy content course. And of course, you know I'm going to say it, leave me a review. It takes 30 seconds, but it means everything. I will feel like $1 million. Until next time, think conversation, not campaign.